Namaste, I'm Dr. Robert, and today on 5-ish Minutes with Dr. Robert, my subject is food combining. The number one thing to say about food combining is please remain calm. Humans have learned how to eat lots of different things over many millennia, and unless you have an anaphylactic reaction to something, you should not become terrified about any food. If you have an anaphylactic reaction, you must definitely be alert to that food. Otherwise, remain calm. And if you eat something that doesn't agree with you, remember that it doesn't agree with you. You can always test it again after 6 months or a year or 2 years of not eating it and see what happens next. The next thing to remember about food combining is there's a big difference between combining things on your plate and combining things in the pot. So if you want to combine a bunch of different things, put them into one pot, convert them into soup or stew or something like that, and then they've already done whatever combining they're going to do in the pot, and then it's going to be a lot easier for you to consume them. In fact, that's often not always, but often a good way to think about food combining. If you would put things together to make soup, then very likely, even if you're not making soup with them, but you're putting them together at one meal, then there is a greater chance that that meal is going to digest well. Another thing to think about is certain things just generally don't combine well. Watermelon is one thing I think of. In fact, melons in general, but especially watermelon. I love watermelon. I've eaten it since I was very small, but I noticed that it is something that really is better eaten alone or left alone. Eat it on its own, enjoy it, and then let some time go by before you eat something else. This is generally true with milk as well. I know a lot of people eat milk with a meal, and sometimes there is value in doing this for very specific people. Milk is a very specific substance. Not everybody should be consuming milk, and when you do, often it is better to consume it on its own and consume it warm and consume it after you've added in some powdered ginger and some other spices and brought it to or very near to a boil. That's going to make the milk more digestible, and it's going to make it less likely that it's going to interact undesirably with anything else. Then there are all kinds of rules that you will find about food combining. You will find all kinds of rules, and remember, the most important thing to remember with all these rules is they are definitely going to apply to somebody, but they may not necessarily apply to you. So the only way you're really going to know is if you try things out. So it is important to experiment, and it's also very important to remain calm about it. So if one experiment goes wrong, you should not freak out and think that some kind of dramatic damage has been done to your body. You should think, however, that this combination is not working for me right now, and therefore what I should be doing instead is consuming this thing either on its own or with other things, but definitely not with this thing. So what you're trying to do is find out about what your body wants. And remember that at some times in your life, your body may be able to consume certain things, and at other times it may not be able to consume other things. I have found in my own case that I really can't eat garlic anymore, and I've talked to a number of people who have found that as they got older, they lost their tolerance for garlic also. If I can't taste it in the food, I won't react to it. If I can taste it, I tend to react to it because that means there's enough of it in there that I'm able to, my body is able to react to it. So don't assume that simply because something was agreeable for you or some method of combining things was agreeable when you were young, that it's going to continue to be agreeable as you become less young and your Agni becomes less strong. So the most important thing with food combining for every individual is read all the different comments that you read and try things out for yourself. Pay close attention to what reaction your body does have Work with that reality, because some things you will be able to combine that other people say you won't, and some things you may not be able to combine that other people say you might be able to. Live with reality so that reality does not have to come and live with you. This is Dr. Robert wishing everyone bon appetit.